This is not going to be a fun one. UCF loses to Colorado 48-21 at home in their Big 12 home opener. Yeah, I'm going to keep this pod short. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Charge On. As always, I'm your host, Sean Green. Before we get started, a quick word from our sponsor, BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200K. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here. Rough night. It is midnight. Got home from the game. I implore all of you, because this is going to be a little bit of a shorter version. Just me on. Nick drove back to Tampa. Couldn't get anybody else on. And honestly, who would really want to come on? I know usually after losses, it's therapeutic for people to talk through the game, get all their thoughts out. We kind of did it already. So if you want our quick, immediate, right after the game thoughts, go check out our post-game live show that we did on the field directly after the game. Steven didn't go to the post-game presser. Nick was supposed to go to the Dion presser. We didn't end up having him go. We just hit record, and it blew up. Granted, there was a lot of Colorado fans that, they deserve to win, but let's get into it. This is going to be a Sean rant. If you like to have Nick kind of balance me out, that's not going to be this episode. It's going to be a lot of just my overall thoughts. And I've had some time to think about it. Me and Nick actually talked on the car ride home about the game. And, here's the thing. I think I understand. I get it. I understand why UCF fans are upset. I'm upset, right? You don't want to see a team that you cover, that you're a fan of, that you want to see succeed, go down as bad as they did in a moment like that. UCF has been clamoring for opportunities to prove to the national stage, the national spotlight, the national type of people that they are the new brand in college football. The future of college football is in Orlando. We've been hearing it for 4 years. And I'm going to be very careful with how I word some of this right now. But since Gus Malzahn has been on campus, really for the last 6-7 years, they haven't had a college game day or a Fox Big Noon kickoff. Haven't been on national TV as much as you would like. They've been on it here and there, but you haven't really gotten national games. You had to really claw your way back to national relevance. Called like it is. UCF hasn't been as national relevant as they were since 2018. That's just a fact, right? They've had a couple seasons. I mean, Gus's second season in the American, we were semi-nationally relevant because there was a thought process of UCF winning the American and getting, a big-time bowl game. But besides that, it's been a while. And UCF has been building to kind of get back into that front seat with the way that they've been recruiting, with the seasons that they've been stacking. You can look at last season as a negative or a positive. I think a lot of people took it as a positive, given you were the best out of the new 4 in the Big 12 last year. You won 6 games, and many were thinking, listen, we're going to take that next step the next year. And you need to. You need to. Because you had, and I'm not exaggerating, I've got this confirmed by other people, there was, I think the number was like 88 high-profile recruits that were on campus yesterday. Over 300 recruits were on campus yesterday. And when I say that, those are players from the next 4 classes. So it's not this crazy number that's like, wow, it was a big-time game, right? So to go in and have a game like that, and I'm going to get to Colorado here now, but to go in and have that performance, that is not telling people nationally that you're the future of college football. What it's saying is that the team that you were playing looked a lot more ready for the national spotlight than you. And we talked about it. We said on this show, I kept saying it, the great teams look around the hype. They look around the hype of a team and they just play their game. They play ball. The okay to bad teams, to good to okay to bad teams, when they're playing a team with that much hype, they let it hurt their games that they're playing in. They let the hype around the game define and hurt themselves by making mental errors they usually would never make. Bad mistakes in the game that give the other team just extra possessions. Why do you think, and again, I might be wrong in this take, but why do you think teams, when they play the Kansas City Chiefs, you blame the refs all the time? I'm not a Kansas Chief fan. I like to see them lose, right? I like to see the Chiefs lose. I'm a former Patriots fan, so I understand where people watching the Patriots say, oh, they get bailed out. It's no. Other teams make more mistakes because they know you have to be basically perfect playing a good team, and you look around, you look at the hype, you get nervous sometimes, you're trying to show out, you're trying to put on a good performance, and you make uncharacteristic mistakes. And UCF made way too many uncharacteristic, as we know of right now, mistakes in this game. 4 turnovers. Now, UCF was 3 of 5 on 4th downs. So that technically means 6 turnovers in the grand scheme of things, because you went 4 and out on 2 of your drives. So that's 6 turnovers in a game. They went 2 of 5 in the red zone. Means you get to the red zone and couldn't do anything. They won the time of possession. The only reason they won the time of possession by 6 seconds is the game was blowout. And at the end of the game, they still couldn't do anything. I thought it was almost comical that at the end of the game, when really Colorado wasn't trying that hard, they were giving UCF whatever run they wanted, they still couldn't score the ball. Like, I think KJ had that fumble where dude just knocks it out and he coughed it up right into the Colorado guy and ran it back for a touchdown. That's when you knew it was a comical game. I can go through all the stats in the world. I mean, you know me. If you've been following this channel at all, I know we've been doing really well the last couple months and a lot of hype around the season, and so maybe a lot of you are new. But in these type of games, I've gone through a couple of them. The last couple years, I can remember right off the top of my head, I've got East Carolina, where that was kind of just a blowout. Kansas last year, that was just one of those games. Navy wasn't a blowout, but it was one of those games where you're like shaking your head like, what's going on? So we've gone through these games, right? We've had these moments. And I can't remember a worse. The Baylor loss was one of the worst losses in UCF history for the fact that you were winning and dominating the game for the entire game and then gave it up at the end, halfway through the third into the fourth. I can't remember a worse game that UCF played as a whole. You can put Kansas in there from last year, but Kansas was also on the road. So you kind of there was a little bit of a pass there. With everything surrounding this game, all the hype surrounding this game, everybody saying that UCF could be a Big 12 title contender, and everybody showing up, all the recruits this was a historic way to lose. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They played one of the worst games you could potentially play in a big-time moment like that. And Gus said they didn't seize the moment. No. That's putting it lightly. You didn't seize anything. Now, I do want to say, a lot of season left to be played. 8 games. You have 8 games left to be played. So that's the positive. You have a chance to get better. We already said before that our prediction was this isn't about an 8-win football team. We said that. One win doesn't define your season. But some of the things we have been seeing, not just this week, but against TCU, some small things that we noticed against Sam Houston in New Hampshire, reared their ugly head today. And it does make you wonder, looking ahead, how much of those problems are going to continue being major issues. Number one, the defensive line can't get any pressure. And it's starting, I think it isn't starting, it is not good. You played, and again, I know Colorado fans are tuning into this. Colorado's offensive line is not good. It's not. They've given up 18 sacks in 5 games. That's not good. I don't even want to know how many pressures they've allowed in 5 games. You can make the argument every single team that played Colorado got more pressure than you did. You got 2 sacks, whoop-de-doo. Shedeur Sanders had however much time he wanted to get plays off. And then when you did throw him into maybe a not-so-great throw, the other problem I have is the secondary. I saw it against Sam Houston. I said, this looks a little scary. There's some plays that you wonder how the secondary is allowing it. Then we played TCU. And again, credit. You got to give credit where credit is due. UCF made the necessary adjustments in the second half to make it a game. But you can't do that every week. And when you have special players, if Shedeur Sanders gets out of something and throws a crazy lob pass, and BJ Adams just doesn't turn around, that's going to be a first down. If Shedeur Sanders throws a Hail Mary, just hope and pray that something bad doesn't happen, throws a bomb, and Antoine Jackson doesn't want to turn around and wants to act like he's going to do an over-the-shoulder interception, stuff like that gets you beat. The defensive line not generating any pressure, and the secondary are major problems. The entire defense realistically is a major issue. I think what's crazy is you could say the linebackers are the best part about the defense right now. And by linebackers, I really mean Deshaun Pace. Ethan Barr, I saw a lot of hate for Ethan Barr online. Ethan Barr's not playing bad. He's just not doing anything extra. He's playing really good in the run defense. Needs to be a little better with pass defense. But the linebackers are the least of UCF's problems right now. Straight up. If this is the defense we get, this is, in my opinion, right now. And we've got 8 games to go, like I said. In my opinion right now, this defense is worse than last year. And that's saying something because we saw the run defense last year. But Colorado did whatever they wanted. The difference between last year and this year, as of last year, you couldn't pass on UCF. Now granted, we didn't really get to see it because teams would just run all over us. But teams would run all over us, but they were pretty good in pass defense. This year, you do whatever you want, is what it looks like. Because Colorado doesn't run the ball that good. Now, Dallin Hayden came back. He was really good today. UCF was so afraid of the pass, it looked like the run defense from last year. I mean, they ran it 29 times for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, Hayden wasn't that good. He was 11 for 33 and a touchdown today. But it's the chunk yardage on the ground that killed UCF. Augustave, his longest run was 21 yards. Hayden, his longest run was 14 yards. Welch, his longest run was 15 yards. Shedeur's longest run was 13 yards. I mean, they were just picking up yards on the ground. You know why? Because Shedeur Sanders went 20 for 35 for 290 and 3 touchdowns. And then you look at missed opportunities. That first, you pick off Shedeur in the first play. or not the first play, but the first drive. Move the ball a little bit, throw a pick. Missed field goal, which I don't blame Boomer. It was like a 55-yarder, and it really didn't make that much of a difference. It was just missed opportunity after missed opportunity after missed opportunity. There's no, adding anything else. And listen, credit Colorado fans. You have to give them their due. I mean, they, just like how we knew, call it like it is. Us UCF fans looked at that spread and we said, why is the spread like that? We were nervous about the game. We were watching, we know the team. We watched the team. Like we said, this go either way. We were confident that, hey, UCF's been able to run the ball. And I know Colorado fans would say, well, you didn't play anybody. It's like, well, look at Sam Houston. I don't even know if they beat Texas State, but they were making a run for it. They've played some good opponents. I mean, New Hampshire's New Hampshire. Sam Houston is still they're in Conference USA, so I get it's nothing special. And then against TCU, it's TCU. Like TCU's, they lost to SMU, and they just go and beat Kansas, so it's not like they're probably a below average team. So I get it. But you come in thinking you're going to be able to run the football, and Colorado was ready for the moment. The moment was not too big for Colorado. They were ready to come back to Florida. Colorado fans said it. We said the spread was too much. We did not expect, though, for them to play that good against the run. I mean, we went 44 attempts for 177 yards and a touchdown. 20 attempts by KJ Jefferson. I think that was one of the more disappointing things. I get what UCF and staff was trying to do, because on tape, Colorado shows that they give up a lot of yards to quarterbacks and quarterback draws. And I think they finally started to realize in the second half, it's not really the designs. Like, you can design it. It has to come naturally. And I think UCF tried to force it way too often. And in the second half, it started to kind of work because they weren't expecting it as much, because you weren't just trying to do it every single time you had the ball. RJ Harvey, 16 attempts, 77 yards. Had the one long touchdown. He had 4 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. Not that great of a game for RJ. I don't blame it all on him. When you stack the box, it's extremely difficult to run the football. And again, just credit the Colorado run defense. They played extremely well. If they play like that every game, they're going to be just a tough beat for anybody, because they're never out of it. They're never out of it. They put up points when they want. That is, and I think Nick said it on the postgame pod, or the postgame live show, but he said, I can't remember a better game that Colorado has played under the Deion Sanders era. And I would 100% agree. As a complete game for Colorado, that was their best game under Deion Sanders. Coach Prime. I can't remember a better game for them. Now, they have to clean up penalties. They had 10 penalties for 75 yards. That's an issue. But we played so bad, it didn't matter. You didn't feel like... Another issue is getting in second and long and third and longs. We talked about that on the postgame live show. UCF is like, right now, you never feel like UCF has the upper hand on defense. You always feel like playing a team like this, if it's a 3rd and 16... you somehow feel like they're going to pick it up. And guess what? 50% of the time they do. Over 50% of the time they do. UCF has a weird issue about giving up big plays. There was a 2nd and 16 today where the running back ran for a first down on 2nd and 16. It's like, what are we doing? What are you guys doing? I could go into this game for a long time. I've already been going 20 minutes. I can go another 20. Colorado is the better team. As of right now, Colorado is the better team. Travis Hunter's him. Heisman. I said the interception he made, he defended 3 guys on that play. If you go watch that play, it's insane what he did. KJ had X wide open, partially because he telegraphed where he was going to go with it. But Hunter came off the ball, or he came off X to get the guy that KJ was throwing to. If KJ would have just pump faked or something, he would have had X wide. He had X right down, like he had him wide open. So it's plays like that where you kind of get frustrated. Let's talk KJ really quick. This was not KJ's fault. Does KJ wish he had a couple plays back? Absolutely. 20 for 35, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, had the fumble that got returned for the touchdown. You know, listen, I really don't blame him. I don't love that we tried to do the quarterback draws and the quarterback powers all the time. I think that really was not the move today. I get it. You saw it on tape. You tried to implement it. I think after the first couple times, you should have, let's just cut this. Let's just not do this anymore. That just wasn't working. I think KJ has a lot to work on, but at the same time, I think he still has a lot of opportunities that he could take advantage of. I think the issue, and we've been talking about it, but you felt in years past that if UCF was in a 3rd and long situation, UCF would be able to pick it up. 3rd and 14, we can get a first down through the air. We can draw something. Gus will draw something up to get a guy open. You're just going to need to put it on the money. That's why we were hoping with John Rice, some of his throws were just inaccurate. So the whole thought process was if you could just get him accurate, this offense will be pretty good. For some reason this year, the way this offense is run, you never feel like if UCF gets in a 3rd and 15, they're picking up a first down. And Gus alluded to it. Gus alluded to it in his press conference. He said, we're not, I'm paraphrasing. He said, we're not a type of team that can play that far from behind. You're not. You did it against TCU. That doesn't happen every week. You can't be down by 14 points every single week and expect to win football games. It's not going to happen. The score was 27-14. You don't win football games against teams like that when you are literally losing within the first 30 minutes. It doesn't happen. And then to come out and say, we just can't win like that. No, you can't. But what makes it's confusing. You have one of those drives where KJ makes 3 passes and we're in the end zone. 3 quick slants. Trent Whittemore, incredible play for 54 yards. Then 2 straight quick slants. UCF's in the end zone within a minute. But then the rest of the game, you're still down. You know you have to kind of hurry the offense. It seems like the offense moves so slow. I wonder why. Because we're subbing in guys almost every single play. If you rewatch the game, and I haven't yet, but if you rewatch the game, you'll notice whenever UCF is playing with tempo and playing with usual UCF tempo that we expect out of the Knights, it was putting Colorado in a weird, bad position. Colorado wasn't playing the tempo well. UCF was moving the ball. It's when UCF decided we're going to start subbing in a bunch of guys all the time and getting in our different sets, it became a problem. You gave Colorado's defense time to set up. You gave them time to sub in. And I think for this defense specifically, or this offense specifically, you got to figure out how to generate big plays. And right now, it looks like the only option is throwing 50-50 balls to Kobe Hudson and hoping and praying he comes down with it. And if that's your only type of deep threat option, this team has no chance if they can't run the football for more than 300 yards a game. If your identity is being a hard-nosed, run the ball, down people's throats football team, which is what that is their identity. Unfortunately, when you get down 27-14, your identity needs to shift. It needs to change. You can't just be that one type of team. That can be what you hope to be, and what you strive to be. But when you get down by that many points, and I get TCU, I understand that is what they did against TCU, and it worked against TCU. You're going to be playing good teams that won't work against. It won't. And you saw it tonight. Colorado punched you in the mouth early. You tried to keep doing the stuff you kept doing against TCU. Colorado was ready for it. They played the run extremely well. They went down and scored the ball almost every time on offense. And the one or two times that the defense got to stop, the offense did not deliver. And that's your ball game. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at that and see that was the game. It doesn't. I could read you I could tell you that Colorado sacked us 5 times. And UCF got 2 sacks. Colorado got 13 tackles for loss. UCF got 8. Most of that came in the first half. UCF had more total yards. Whoop-de-doo. You turned over the ball 6 times. So, Gus said he knows the team will respond, and this is really how you learn, or when you learn about your team, is when you lose like this and how they respond tomorrow and this week. That's the positive. The positive is you're playing Florida next week. And I'm not saying that now I'm viewing this as like, the positive is you're playing Florida in the swamp and it's like so easier than Colorado. No. Did I say I'm more nervous for Colorado than Florida? I did say that. Going to the game, I said I'm way more nervous for Colorado than Florida. Now, I think UCF, I agree with Gus. You are really going to see what this team is made of next week. If they go into the swamp and have another performance like this, it's going to be a long year. But if they can go in and somehow get a win, even though it's not a Big 12 win, right? I think the team has a chance that maybe this was just bad on every single level. But there are things that continue to rear their ugly head that make you think that they're bigger issues than maybe just a 1 or 2 game problem. I have way more confidence in the offense than I do the defense. But the offense does have glaring things that you question and say, when you need to go down and score in 35 seconds, can you? And I think the answer right now is no. But who knows? We'll see. Positive. Like I said, you've got 8 games left. 8 games on the slate. You went 3-1 in your first 4 games. You need to somehow get to 8 wins. You need to somehow get to 8 wins to make this season for UCF Nation, Knight Nation. You need to get to 8 wins to make them feel like this is going in the right direction. If you have another 6-win season, that's where this becomes a little bit of a rocky road heading into the summer. But it's early. It's early. This was a bad loss. Another bad loss that you don't want, but it happened. Can the Knights respond? Can the Knights move on? And figure it out? And there's a greater Gus Malzahn question. Not from me, but I know a lot of UCF fans were making it very well known how they felt. I don't share the same sentiment, but I'm sure me and Nick will have that conversation on the next episode of Charge On. So please tune in to our UCF versus Florida preview. We've all been looking forward to this game for at least a couple years. Ever since it got announced, this game has been circled on everybody's calendar. We're all excited for the game. This puts a little bit of a downer. Of course, you wanted UCF to be undefeated going into the swamp, but it's a big game. It's a big game. And if the team responds there, I said on the live post-game show, this would be a perfect amnesia, sprinkle of amnesia dust. If you can somehow go into the swamp and beat Florida on their turf, I get Florida's Florida-ing this year. I understand. Still Florida. Still the swamp. If you can go in and get a win there, I think a lot of people will forget about this game. But for the next week, this one is going to suck. So, shout out Colorado. Hell of a game. Not much else to say there. UCF played the worst game they possibly could have. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. How long did I go? I went 30 minutes. Look at me. Look at me going 30 minutes, doing my job effectively. 30 minutes by myself. I could have gone longer, but I think we all don't really want to hear how bad UCF played. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that you do. I think I did that out of order. That's just that one of those episodes. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Like I said, guys, we will be back on Thursday with our Florida preview. FYI, for those of you that are big fans of us and keep up with all that we do, we're going to be doing a pregame and postgame live show in Gainesville. Probably will not be as nice as it is over here when we have home games. We're not going to be doing a live watch-along. I know it's an away game, but we're going to be at the game, so we will not be doing a live watch-along, but we will be doing a pre- and post-game show, so make sure you tune into that or make plans on Saturday to tune into that if you're going to the game or not going to the game. All right, everybody. UCF loses a tough one to go to 3-0 on the season. They will hope to bounce back next week against Florida. We'll have your pregame show, or not pregame. We'll have your pregame pod on Thursday. All right, everybody. This has been Charge On presented by Bet Online. We will see you on Thursday.